Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I want to align myself with Mr. McNerney's comments about Yucca Mountain. I think he's spot on. But as a fiscal conservative, I don't see the nation spending more money for an interim storage site when we've already spent so much ratepayer money and tax dollars on Yucca Mountain to get it to the point that it was. That's throwing good money after bad. We have interim storage right now, and that's currently where the nuclear waste is sitting. That's on site at the commercial reactors around the country, 38 states and 122 sites. The permanent solution, national problem is Yucca Mountain. We need to get behind the Nuclear Waste Policy Amendments Act. We need to get Yucca Mountain back on track, and I appreciated your comments there. Shifting gears to the topic of the hearing today, you know, there are direct costs to the consumer for more stringent building codes. And Mr. McIntyre, the president of the National Association of Home Builders, who's going to testify, I think, in a little while, but he testified in front of this subcommittee last September, that each $1,000 of regulatory cost displaces about 127,000 households from the market. We all support saving energy, but there is a natural incentive to do so because it saves money. But in your opinion, what role should the federal government play in energy efficient efforts?
Well, we have a role to play in that, as you just heard me talk about, doing basic R&D to make sure that if, you know, we can make new materials and that the public-private partnerships can take it out and implement it. One thing that this administration stands for, and I think that it's evident in the results of the economy today, is that, you know, we have stood for deregulation. Okay, we have found that if you lessen the regulations on people, they will be creative and innovative, and they'll be able to do the things that their consumers need, and they'll be able to do it in the most efficient manner. We reform the tax code, and you can see the evidence again in the economy today. We believe that without the mandates, and you provide incentives for people, that is the way to encourage behavior. And it's same thing, whether it's building codes or anything else, that usually gets the best results. And we see that. We're leading the world in energy, in greenhouse gas emissions. You know, not because it's been mandated on it, it's because we're making choices that result in that.
Yeah, I think given the choice, a consumer is going to pick the most energy efficient appliances readily available, as long as there's not a huge price point difference. But when we see policies like what Berkeley County, California has done with banning natural gas, so consumer doesn't have a choice in choosing a very efficient natural gas appliance, now they're forced into an electrical appliance that may not be as efficient, but it's based on the desire to end the fossil fuel usage. So shouldn't builders and consumers be able to choose if natural gas appliances makes more economical sense depending on where they live, instead of a one-size-fits-all approach of stretch codes and HR 3962? Wouldn't you agree with that?
I would. Mm-hmm.
You've answered a lot of questions. I'm toward the end here. Let me just finish with this. I want to revert back to the Yucca Mountain for just a second and remind members of this committee and remind people watching this hearing that the Nuclear Waste Policy Act that set up Yucca Mountain imposed a fee on ratepayers in this country for the construction and operation of Yucca Mountain. Ratepayers, as a portion of the utility bill, pennies at a time, but the consumer didn't have any choice of whether they wanted to pay that or not. As small as South Carolina is, South Carolina ratepayers have paid upwards on $3 billion for Yucca Mountain. That's just in South Carolina. 38 other states, ratepayers paid that as well. That's on top of the tax dollars that we're paying now every year. So South Carolina has got nothing for our $3 billion investment. Money that was confiscated in every utility bill that South Carolinian ratepayers paid for a long period of time. It's time to get the Yucca Mountain back on track, and with that, I yield back.